John, we've been doing this for close to 2 decades now, and I've never seen you get so emotional. Before. You guys are a special group to get Mr. Luce here to break down like that. So I like it. I like it. Welcome again, as John said, on behalf of Stonebriar Community Church. We are grateful to be able to host this event. It's our great privilege and our great honor to do so. We think there's everything good and right about using our facilities and about hosting this event, and it's a great blessing to us. And we pray that you walk out of here today and feel that same blessing. So before I begin, a brief talk, and as I always say, it's always somewhat risky to give a pastor a mic and say, briefly, say a few words, Steve. So I do want to say thank you to Foster Williams, John Luce, Pete. I'm sure I'm missing a few. To Karen Hawkins and her team that greet you and make all of this happen. Thank you all for doing this. It's, like I said, a beautiful ministry, and pray that, again, you walk out of here feeling that you had an encounter with something that is good and right and beautiful. And as John said, if you happen to be a person of faith, then I hope you bump into the Holy Spirit while you're here. So let me share with you a few thoughts that I had today. I want to tell a story. So imagine you had a bank account that deposited $86,400 each morning. Kind of nice, right? The account carries over, though, no balance from day to day. It allows you to keep no cash balance, and every evening cancels out whatever amount you had failed to use during the day. What you do naturally, right? I mean, it makes common sense. You draw out every dollar each and every day. Truth is, we all have such a bank. That bank is called time. Every morning, it credits you with 86,400 seconds. Figured that out. Every night, it writes off as lost whatever time you failed to use wisely. It carries over no balance from day to day. Allows no overdraft, so you can't borrow against yourself or use more time than you have. Each day the account starts fresh, and each night it destroys the unused time. If you fail to use the day's deposit, it's your loss. You can't appeal and get it back. There's never any borrowing time. You can't take a loan out against your time or against someone else's time. The time you have is the time you have. And that's it. Time management is yours to decide how to spend the time. Just as with money, you decide how you spend your money. It's never the case of us not having enough time to do the things we want to do. The case is really whether we want to do them and what we choose to do within the context of that bank account, of that time. Now, this story may be absurd, but the story is making a point about the preciousness of time. In fact, in Scripture that I believe, wise King Solomon, before, and I see some older people in here like me, the Byrds made a song of this in the 60s, made a song about time, and it had a few things to say. Solomon says there's a time for everything, a season for every activity under heavens. Time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, time to kill, a time to heal, tear down, to build, to weep, to laugh, to mourn, to dance, to scatter stones, and time to gather them. Time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search, a time to give up, a time to keep, a time to throw away, a time to tear, a time to mend, a time to be silent, a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time for war, and a time for peace. Solomon, one of the wisest writers in our Bible. So, as John mentioned, I'm a therapist. I happen to function from what's called a cognitive behavioral therapy standpoint, meaning what we think drives what we feel, drives what we do, that behaviors matter. And the behavior behind these two stories, both the absurdness of the time bank and the scripture of King Solomon, it's framing one message. And as I alluded to, it's not really about time management. It's about choice management. Time is a fixed variable. You can't borrow against it. You can't do anything with it, as the story I wrote told you. Solomon implies also that there's a right time to do these things. And that's the key, isn't it? There's a right choice. There's a right time. So this morning I have one simple, but I pray penetrating question that I want to leave us all with. As I'm putting this together yesterday, I'm you. There's no difference. So I'm trying to figure this out too. Are the choices I'm making with the time I've been given choices I want to make or need to be making? The story goes, you can't get this back. We all have these pivot points that I think God allows into our life. Perhaps it's a job change for you, come sudden or come willingly. For me, it was a heart attack about 18 months ago, that he inserts these things in our life where I think he literally says, okay, Fisher, how are you going to respond to this? What are you making the choices? You don't get to add time. And there's a right time for everything. So, Steve, are you asking the hard question? Are you looking at the choices you're making? Are they choices you want to make? You need to make? And that's a conversation that only I can have with my God about me. I'm not here to judge you. That would be awful. That I think this is the way you should spend your time. But I think the absence of you asking that question is a mistake we all make. So whatever transition point you're at in your life, I pray that this is opportunistic to be able to ask that question. I'm given these seconds this day. I'm given these choices, and there's a time to make a right choice in all the time. What am I doing? Sometimes the right choice is to absolutely take a time out and do nothing. Watch the 67th rerun of SUV. You know, whatever. That's SUV. What is it? That's it. I watch a lot of TV. What can I say? Sorry about that. I knew as soon as it comes out of your mouth, you're like, huh. But words are like toothpaste, right? Once they come out, you can't really put them back in. So as the story goes, you can't get it back. You can't waste it. So that's my prayer for you this morning. My encouragement to you that you've got this bank, this time. But it's the choices you're making with the time. And how are you doing that? And if this is a season where you're beginning to reorganize and realign that, then God bless you. Take that advantage of that. And I believe that this time that you're investing at Frisco Connect is going to make a beautiful investment of whatever amount of seconds that you spend here. That's my deepest prayer. Father God, may your Holy Spirit move in here. I don't know where each person is in their understanding of who you are. That's not my concern. That's yours. But Lord, I just ask that you are present and that you are moving around and that you're meeting people right where they are, that you're loving them, that you're comforting them, but you're also convicting them and encouraging them, not out of shame and guilt, but that's not the way you work, but rather out of love and mercy and grace, the things of you. So Lord, I ask that you be with all those who speak today, that their words are your words, and they, again, meet people right where they are at this morning, so that, Lord, when they leave this place, they are not only a little bit more informed about how to choose wisely, how to pick the right thing, how to invest the seconds that you have given them, but perhaps also that they've had an encounter with you, Lord. Smile, through the compassion, through the insight and the wisdom they bump into when they're here at this place. Lord, we are grateful that you are our God. It is in your name I pray. Amen. Guys, have a great morning. If there's anything we can do, let us know. Thank you very much.
God bless you. All right, Foster, we get rolling here. All right. Um, some of the feedback we've gotten recently on those note sheets that I pointed out earlier was, why don't we have people come in and gather around based on silos? You know, whether you're finance and investing or IT, which is a very broad uh, category, or HR or whatnot. Um, we've done that in the past, but had it, I did a little bit of research on that and trying to get a proper name for those different categories where the appropriate people would sit around tables near each other it's kind of difficult. So we're gonna work on that, but because finance is a broad range, HR includes corporate HR and training and all the other things that human resource, or what's it called now? People. No, they don't call it HR anymore. They call it people something. So we're thinking about that. And, human resources, yes. Um, so anyway, I just thought I'd go on about that. Foster, while you're doing your thing, I was also asked the question this morning, are there any recruiters here? Well, Foster's going to point out the people who are here. We have some regular supporters that are here every morning, and Foster's going to point them out. And so the point is to network. Now we'll have a presentation in a few minutes by Dr. Brenda Carter, and then after her presentation, we'll take a break. Usually it's about 20 to 30 minutes, give you time to do a rest stop and new people and whatnot, and then we'll reconvene to do some Q&A and things like that about the subjects that are being covered. So, Foster, I'm done. Here you go, kiddo. Yeah, clock in. We don't pay overtime either.
All right, good morning, everybody. And to the top here. As I say, okay. So, John began to explain what I'm going to try to bring out. Hi, y'all. Good morning, Frisco Connect. I am this guy, Foster Williams, it says, and I have been a long-time recruiter, longer than I want to tell you guys, because then you'll think that I'm a Tyrannosaurus Rex or something like that. So, my observations over the years, God told me to put together a network called the Career Search Network. We are the flagship group of the Career Search Network. It's a big old network. We're in 25 states, you guys, now, because everybody, people that don't live in Texas lose their jobs too. Some of you guys have families and been all over the place, and I am really glad to see you guys here. Now, I'm going to ask a question, and then I'm going to watch you guys' face as I say this. You guys realize how difficult, how daunting maybe is a better word, that the job search is this day and time? When you turn on the TV, you don't see that wonderful world that many of us, not all of us, used to live in. It's gotten very challenging. So God provides opportunities for us to go through these things, and we're not alone. We know God's with us. We know that, but he puts other people with us as well. That's why I'm so excited about telling you guys to get out and network. Now, thank you, Dr. Carter, for coming and spending some time with us, and Paige and Jonathan and Persia. Got it, didn't I? All right. Got the whole family. No, we don't have the whole family here. Big Dr. Carter, Big Dr. Bobby Carter is not here with us today. Is he going to join us later? All right. That's my buddy. And so, guys, I want to bring some people to light that make up this network. There are a lot of values that come to the forefront in this network. So here I got my cheat sheet with me. So I see, where's Pete? There's Pete Hernandez back there. Everybody knows Pete Hernandez. Pete is Pete is my big brother, so I run behind Pete, and whatever he does, I try to copy him. And Pete's on IR. So we got Pete. Pete's taking a seat. Pete's usually running around spending time with you guys. He will do that today. That's not so much running around for Pete. And John Luce, you met. Wave, John. The second voice you heard, first voice that you heard. All right. Jeff Morris is with us. Where is Jeff Morris? He is back there. All right. Guys, Jeff is a creator of careerdfw.org. If you are in job search and you're in Dallas-Fort Worth, you guys need to be cognizant of careerdfw.org. Now, as you share, as you network with folks around the country, he has created also careerusa.org. And you can kind of get an idea of what Career USA is by the title of what it is. All around the country, you guys can find things that are going on. Because if you have family, you have friends in other states, there are meetings and things there where they can get help as well. They just got to know where it is, right? Okay. Thanks, Jeff. All right, so we got Ron Layton. Where's Ron Layton? There's Ron Layton right there. Ron Layton, he runs the pit crew. Are you guys cognizant of what the pit crew is? I think we might have some scrolling information. Oh, it's not scrolling today. Okay, the pit crew is a practice interview team. If you guys have any questions, go check out the pit crew on careerdfw.org and cards on the table about the pit crew. If you guys have an upcoming interview and you want to get a little practice, it's a good idea. You get a little practice. And the pit crew will probably give you a tougher interview than what the company does that you're going to work for. We hope you're going to work for. While I'm thinking about it, I want to tell you guys about a landing that we had. Some of you guys have had some of those donuts over there already. Dwayne Guthrie has landed a job as a cybersecurity architect at a company called, let's see if I get this right. I forgot, y'all. Don't hold it. Too secure. That's right. But if you guys look up Dwayne Guthrie, maybe he's updated his LinkedIn profile. And you can find out about that company. It's going to come to my mind when I'm not thinking about it. Y'all know how it is. Some of you guys do. Maybe Jonathan will remember everything clearly. But when you get our age, things kind of get away from you sometimes. Okay. So, let's see who else we've got. Hadley is with us from Thomas Edwards Group. Where's Hadley? There's Hadley back there. Thanks, Had. You guys need to know about Thomas Edwards Group. Thomas Edwards Group initially was a financial support company, but they did such a good job serving their clients in the financial field. They were asked, hey, you guys got HR people, you guys got IT people. So now Thomas Edwards Group does a wonderful job because they have whole divisions of the company that recruit in IT and HR. HR, John, he's not paying any attention to me. Okay, let's go forward. Where's Bob Ernst? I saw there's Bob Ernst over there. All right. Thanks for your service, Bob. I always like to bring that up. Bob is a representative of Edward Jones. So a lot of you guys probably want to connect with Bob. There are opportunities at Edward Jones, and Bob has been part of this network for a long time, so he knows a lot of people, a lot of different areas. So thank you, Bob. Thank you for being with us. And you don't have a four-legged friend with you today, do you? Okay, that's okay. We always look for Bob and his four-legged guiding animal. Okay, So bear with me, guys. Where is Jason Millwright? There's Jason right there. Guys, Jason does a lot of the, I guess you could say, social media stuff, websites, all that sort of thing for the Career Search Network, for this group especially. And you go to FriscoConnect.org, that's a Jason's put that thing together. It's awesome. He does that for the whole network. South Lake Focus Group, you guys hear us talk about it. Many of you guys go to South Lake Focus Group. And Jason is one of our lead volunteers at South Lake. So Jason, thank you, sir. Guys, this is why I want you guys to get out. Hey, Eloise, I didn't even see you come in. I love my job, y'all. I make good friends. Okay, Trevor Houston and Mark Elder, right there. Thank you. Mark, I didn't see you come in. You snuck in on me. So, guys, you guys have seen the first podcast that we have that was developed here at Frisco Connect. Me and Mark and Trevor were there. The Who You Know Job Networking Show. And y'all definitely get to know those two guys. You talking about a big heart? That's why we're here. It all started right here. And we appreciate you guys. We do. Thanks for being with us. Let me look around, see if I missed anybody. Huh? Where's Rick Martinez? Man, what are you doing? You snuck in on me. Rick and I have been friends you remember when I first introduced myself and I said I've been a recruiter so long I don't want to tell y'all how long we've been a recruiter? Rick was right there with me. So Rick, I'm not going to bust us out like that, but we've been around a long time. And actually, to be humble when I say this, but it's the truth, me, Rick, and many of our friends that have been around recruiting so long here in Dallas we've kind of set up recruiting in the way that it exists here in Dallas-Fort Worth. We are the original creators of the TRN, which back when we put it together you remember the Technical Recruiting Network? Now it's the Texas Recruiting Network. Big old network. A bunch of us recruiters get together every Wednesday, guys. The first Wednesday of every month, we get together and we talk about you guys. We talk about our jobs. We talk about what makes us go forward. So they share with Foster, because I represent you guys, they share with Foster all the stuff. So I share it with you guys. So Rick and I have been brothers for a long time. And Rick, I appreciate you, man. We got to get you back up here pretty soon. Rick has spoken to this group a number of times. Rick is the owner of R2 Technologies, guys. He is his company supplies IT needs to companies all over Dallas-Fort Worth, and not just Dallas-Fort Worth, but Rick is another one of those companies that has done so well that he's got companies outside of Texas that reach out and say, hey, Rick, who you know? Well, I know this guy named Foster. Then everything goes downhill. All right, so Dr. Brenda Carter is here today, and I'm going to bring her up, and she's going to talk to us about the art of influencing. Now, we think about influencing in the job-seeking genre, but it goes beyond that. This lady right here, I'm proud to say she's my friend. She is the #1 requested speaker that we've ever had in this network. And y'all are going to understand why when she gets through today. And then I'm going to look at you guys and say, I told you. So take it away. Is it working? See, she needs that. I don't need one of these things, but she does.
I don't necessarily need one. I am from New York, and I can project my voice if I wanted to. Like I was on the block. Hey, Foster!
I got to use this other ear now. All right.
Let's see.
Take off.
Let me see. Is it working?
Yeah. I think
Yeah?
it is
Okay,
working.
perfect.
Okay.
All
Got it.
right. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Well, first and foremost, welcome to preheat season, where Texas begins to heat up the killing, and next month we will be in a cozy 500 degrees. No, you would definitely know if he was here. Yeah, he's unmistakable.
Family thing, y'all.
Yes, and to that point, thank you to Foster and Pete, who technically are my siblings. They were just born a couple of centuries before me. But we are related, and thank you to John. So, when you think about influence, there's a lot that goes into it. And man, about 14 years ago, me and my husband, all right? Okay, so 14 years ago, see this lovely couple right here? See how sweet they are, right? Yeah. We were a young family, and we still had our oldest, and, we were buzzing, and then we had more kids, of course. But we faced one of the most toughest situations ever in our life. And it was a really intense set of negotiations with, I would call, the most unruliest group of people, tyrannical. You can't talk any sense into them. We had an intense negotiation with them, and that is these two. Toddlers. Yes, those are our twins, Jonathan and Paige. And so when you have twins as a young family, everything's non-conventional, right? Because it's survival of the fittest. Nothing is going to go in order. Nothing's going to be nice and neat and pretty. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. So one Saturday, we said, we're going to wear them out, okay? We are going to eat lunch in the back of the car because that keeps our stress levels down. And we'll take them out of the car seat so that they're not squirming and crying. And then we'll go for a walk, right? So we proceed to do what we do. We let them out of the car seat. We give them their peanut butter and jelly, and they're having a great time. And then we go to proceed to do this walk. So I get out of my car, my side of the car. Hubby gets out of his. We go to the back. We go to undo the car. It's not opening. My side ain't opening. His side isn't opening. So then, like any parent does, you go to the front and you say, okay, well, maybe, one of the cars is open. It should be open, and I think it should be open. But, when you're a parent and you got twins, you forget a lot. You're just trying to keep them alive. So yes, I forgot the keys in the car, okay? And I told you we were young and struggling. So this was over 14 years ago. So that means our car was even older than the 14 years because that's all we could afford, right? So I go and try to undo the passenger side. Nope, it's locked. And so I'm thinking surely his side. No, that's locked too. And where are we looking at the keys? Right in the ignition. And now it's game on. Because we're like, as parents, what's the solution? What are we going to do? So we're like, okay, the kids are running like free-range chickens in the back of the car. Let's see if we can talk to them. Let's see if we can influence them to unlock the car door, right? Well, here's what happened. Hubby goes on his side, and he's doing all of the things, trying to talk to Jonathan. Jonathan decides, this is a mime class. I'm going to mimic everything Dad does. So I'm going to point to the lock like Dad. I'm going to make the faces like Dad. And for him, this was a full-on Kevin Hart comedy show. So now I'm like, okay, Paige is our only hope, right? So I get in the back seat and I lock in with her. And I'm like, girl, it's me and you. You my girl. And she looks at me, I look at her. And I feel like she understands what I'm trying to say. So I go, over here, see the lock? All you gotta do is push it up. She gets to the lock, hovers over the lock, does not touch the lock, and goes like this. That went on, it was like toddler charades, went on for about 20 minutes. Then, luckily, we was in like a residential area where a neighbor saw these two goofy parents trying to get them to open the door. And so they brought out a hanger and, old school, you slip it in, pop the lock. And so we got them out. But here's what I found. Influence feels like that a lot of times. Whether you're trying to influence someone in your career or in an interview or at a networking or on a project, it literally feels like you are talking to people that have the attention span of a toddler or a goldfish, right? And what I learned in that moment and in many others is that influence is really about having the right strategy at the right moment in order to get the right approach. But the problem is, it's what I call one of the biggest barriers to influence, and that's the barrier of you. It's the problem of you. Because you cannot get the right approach at the right time if you feel like you're the wrong person. And so, because of that, I came up with an entire method, right? But I also realized that, with the problem of you, a lot of times when we think that we're not the right person, it's because we're undervaluing something. And what you undervalue, you'll underappreciate. And what you underappreciate, you'll underutilize. And whatever you underutilize, you'll squander. And many of us walk around not really seeing what we have in the deck of cards we have in our hand. And so it's really about finding out what is that goal. Because if you go back even to the toddler story, it wasn't the right approach. Playing toddler charades was not the right approach, right? And many of us, it can feel like the luck of the draw. Maybe they'll press the button, maybe they won't. But what if there are other options? What if there are other things that you can do in order to really impact, in order to really drive influence? And so I came up with this 7-pillar method called the inner authority method. Because what I found is that you cannot impact out there what you are unclear about in here. If you are unclear in here, it's not going to work. And so today, we will talk about the most important two of the pillars out of the 7. Because if you can get these 2, you can begin to influence and impact and change the world. And so the 2 that we're going to talk about today are illuminate and anchor. Now, when it comes to illuminate, what is illuminate? Illuminate is pretty much the act of reframing your self-perception so you can lead from a place of clarity and not insecurity. And so one of the things that I found, I have a really brilliant client. His name is Jordan. And whenever I talk to him, he'll tell me about some great project he's doing, but he'll say, yeah, I have this project, but it's not really that big of a deal. Yeah, I had to create the training from scratch and roll it out to over 75,000 managers, but I'm just doing my job. And the problem for me is the but. Because underneath that but, there is a track record that he actually has for bringing structure to ambiguity. But he's so busy saying, I'm just doing my job. He's so busy saying, it's not that big of a deal. And so like him, many of us are the same. Many of us see ourselves like this. What does this look like? Just shout it out. A rock, right? Something maybe you would throw out. Would you throw this out? Put it in a garden, maybe? Okay. Here's the problem with that. This is not just an ordinary rock. in this rock is this. That gold was in that rock. And for many of us, even seasons like this where God sends you through a refinement season, it's a time period where all of the other stuff, all of the rock, all of the pollutants get melted off so you can really see who you are. And the reason why that's a big deal is because, of course, in life, there are many things that come that make you hard, that make you not as in tune to the gifts that you have. Sometimes it's a parent's voice. Sometimes it's something that happened in high school, something that happened in your career. And it's all of these things that have come to tell you you're just rock. And we believe it. And so sometimes you have to go through life's refinement process. Sometimes God sends you through trials and tribulations, fire, so that it can melt away all of the rock and you can start to parse out the gold. Now, don't get me wrong, the refinement season is not fun, right? Like, I hate when God tells me wait and when he tells me no. I become like a toddler too. I'm like, no, wait, why do you mean no? Why do I have to wait? But I get it now. And so, in addition to pulling out the gold, what I've come to realize is that a lot of times we don't even realize ourselves that there's gold in that rock. And so it's like, Dr. B, how do I parse that out? How do I pull the gold out of the rock? Because all I know is rock. And so to answer that, because I had to go through the same thing, and they tell you, send an email or reach out to your friends and ask them what you're known for. Well, my friends are nuts, okay? And they will remind me of my whole past. They're like, yeah, you know how to drink like a sailor. I'm like, I wasn't asking you about that. I was not asking you. That's the old me. That is not the current me. Thank you. So I found a safer way to parse out the gold. And so here's how I found out. There is an app, and yes, they need to pay me, but no, I'm not selling it, but you'll get the point in a minute. So there's an app that I use called Otter, and it's a transcription app. You can use whatever you want. But here's the reason why I leverage Otter. Because Otter allows me to data dump, and it never gets bored, and it never gets tired of what I have to say. Because sometimes when you're long-winded, you can tell people are looking at you like, hurry up. I never have to worry about that feeling with Otter. I am safe. So I will data dump into Otter. So a great example of that, especially for those of you that are looking for jobs, I'll data dump everything that I've done. I mean everything. Get down to the nitty-gritty. And that's the rock. And that's me putting the rock in the crucible, okay? And then I'm going to upload that transcription and put it into chat. The reason why I'm putting it into chat is because chat is also safe. And chat will not tell me, girl, whew, I can't compute none of this, right? And so maybe I might, occasionally unleash some insecurities while I'm typing in chat, but nevertheless, chat does not judge me. And so I'll put it into chat, and I will come up with the following prompts, okay? And this will be all based off of the transcription and the data dump that I've done. And so I will ask chat, based off of this transcript, to help identify the strengths, what are the top 3 strengths that make me uniquely valuable? Then I also like to ask chat to polish my stories. Because sometimes we undersell what we've done. Our language is limiting. So you might say something like, yeah, I worked on a project that was global and it went well and everybody was able to, do the training. You just left gold on the table, especially when you're talking to a recruiter, because you're missing those key details. They want to hear your process, right? What did you do? How did you do it? What were the numbers? And sometimes you don't know what you do not know. And so what this does is it helps you to become familiar with you. Because if you don't realize what God entrusted to you when you were on that job, if you don't realize what gifts he was deploying, you're not going to walk into a room like that. So instead, what'll happen is you'll show up to the room playing not to lose rather than playing to win. And those are two different ways of showing up. Those two are not the same. And so this time that you have, this downtime, this is the time that you take to really get rooted in the gifting that God gave you. This is the time that you take to parse out all of the gold from the rock so that you can refine it and turn it into 24 karat, okay? And so even when I'm looking at like one-liners, or I'm looking at things like, what's my sauce? That transcript is what guides. And then you can start to practice the stories. And the more you practice the stories, it doesn't matter where you are. If you get a phone call from a recruiter, you're on. And it's not just for performative measures only, because some of this helps to reframe your own thought process about you. Sometimes the biggest barrier is you. Influence does not start when you get in the room. Influence starts in here first. And if you are unclear about who you are, I don't care if you walk into some of the biggest networking events, if you're on the biggest project, if you are unclear on who you are, the people you talk to will leave just as unsure as you were when you walked in. You cannot expect for someone else to be more clear about you than you. And so this is why it's important for you to make sure that you are parsing out the gold. Don't miss the moment of you. Because that next job, they're going to need you to come in at this higher level that you know you can perform in. So when we say illuminate, just as a recap, illuminating is about reframing how you see yourself, refining those stories, and revealing your own brilliance to yourself. It's not about creating brilliance, it's about revealing what's already there. And I do think that many of you are in this season of exploration. And I think that for many of you, there's a little bit further that you could be going. And so I'm here to tap you on the shoulder and to confirm that. I think there's more that you can be pulling out of your stories. Now, anchor. Why is anchor so important? The reason why anchoring is so important is because anchoring is the practice of grounding yourself in purpose before you step into any space. It's the practice of aligning your internal clarity with the external purpose of the room. When you think about a salesman, right? A salesman never just walks into a sales conversation or a room without knowing the client. And when they know the client, they know as much as they possibly can about the client. They know about their pain points. They know about what they're possibly looking for. They know what they like, what they don't like. They do the research. They are very clear about the room they're about to walk into. And not only are they clear about the room that they're about to walk into, they are also very clear about the right product to sell to the client. So is the same with you. You have to be very clear about the room you're about to walk into, because that helps you to determine what product to sell. One of the things that I tell all of my clients, I say, especially like if you're talking about an interview or something like that, if the job you're interviewing for, if you look at them like a client, and if they say, I want Italian food, you do not serve them takeout from Chinese food. You don't serve them soul food. You serve them Italian food. Now, how you serve them the Italian food is based off of the illuminate we just talked about. Because if you're just serving pasta and sauce, not going to be that great. But when you are very clear about who you are and what you bring to the table and what your sauce is and what your special recipe is, you end up making a very fine dish. And so what anchoring is really about is, number one, you need to define the room's purpose. Why does the room exist? What's the decision that is being made? When it comes to an interview, why are they hiring for this role? What is going on in the company? What can I identify even from the job description? The next thing is that you can leverage ChatGPT to uncover pain points. And so what I like to do, especially when it comes to job search, is I like to take the job description and I like to have Chat analyze the job description and pull out the top 3 to 4 major things they're looking for. Because, certain wording, if it appears more than twice, anything more than twice, that is a hot ticket item, right? And so I'll have it pull that out, and then I'll ask Chat, what are the pain points possibly associated with the things they're looking for? Because you gotta think about this as, you're a doctor. Client comes in and they say, something hurts, think I have an infection, I don't know. You're going to ask questions. You might even start mashing on certain things. And when you're mashing, certain areas you're not going to get a response. But when you mash on the area of pain, you're going to get an immediate response. And that immediate response, your ability to mash on the pain, is what causes you to be remembered. Because we tend to remember pain. And so if you can identify the pain point and speak to it using the things that you've identified from when you were parsing out your gold, you can then present yourself as the solution because you know the pain. And it's all about positioning yourself like a pro. And so when you're interviewing, you want to analyze the job spec. Do not just skim the job spec. There's certain language that kind of confirms another part of the language that they might have had in the beginning. So maybe in the earlier part of the job spec, they might say something like, we need some data analysis. And then later on, they may talk about data storytelling or interpretation, right? And so the word data may not be mentioned, but it is still data related. And so if it's data related, then there must be something driving that need for data. And if there's something driving that need for data, now you can sit and think, okay, in my toolkit of experience, what data experience do I have? And what were some of the typical problems I ran into? You know, when you're talking to a recruiter, you can always tell when you've matched on a pain point. Because when you say it, everybody who's on their interview, whether it's a panel or one person, they start subconsciously shaking their head. And that's how you know you've matched on it. And then when they start asking you more questions about it, that's another way you know you matched on it. Because they're like, oh, yes, it hurts right there. So how did you deal with this? And what about this? And what about that? And when you're very clear about the work that you've done, you're able to give as many double clicks as they require. And so this is why it's really important to get really clear on the room's purpose. Because if you're clear on the room's purpose, then you can align yourself appropriately. You know, there's been a few times, especially early on in my career, where I just was going for the job and I was just glad to get the interview. And I found that in those moments, it felt like I was just blindly interviewing. Kind of like what I was doing with the twins. I just felt like this big old goofy adult trying to, hey, okay, what about this? What about that? Are you gonna press the button? Trying to get the outcome that I wanted. And it wasn't until I realized you have to be more strategic than that. Even my teenagers, when they wanna ask me for something, they don't ask me anything the way they wanna ask me. They ask me the way that they know is gonna work on me. Right? It's no different. And that's the art of influence. It's learning to speak their language. It's learning to even receive and to be sensitive enough to hear. And then taking what you have and knowing that you are the right person for the job and being able to then take it and say, here's what I have. And when you are confident about what you offer, guess what? It even changes the tone in which you talk, the way in which you say it. It's kind of like going back to Jordan, my client. When he didn't know what he was offering, it was, I did this project. But when he's able to tell me, yes, I am able to deliver in, timelines that are 50% faster than the rest of my colleagues and this and that, and he's able to give it to me very clear. And you know what that projects to me? What it projects is, oh, wow, he can really take us there. And you got to remember, when it comes to communication, over 70% is nonverbal. And if over 70% is nonverbal, then that means that over 70% is unconscious. And so this is why it's so important for you to really know who you are, because you're also feeding that subconscious part of you that keeps saying, you're not enough, or I'm not sure. And so when you close that gap, then you're able to win. And so when you think about the totality of everything we just talked about. It's really about making sure that before you reach your biggest moments, you need to already know, who am I bringing into the room? What is the purpose of the room? And what pain might I be uniquely gifted to solve? This is even true even before you go into a networking event. This is true before you go to give a status update for a team. Because even at networking events, I've noticed that those that get the most out of networking events are the ones that are very clear about what they bring to the table. They know their play zones, meaning they only own the area that they play in. They're not trying to play in areas that don't belong to them. They don't mind yielding the floor to other experts in that area. But when you are on, you are on. When it's in your play zone, you kill it. Okay? When you think about David, David wasn't timid going to Goliath. And that's how you have to see yourself. He didn't have any qualms about the fact that, hey, I got 5 rocks in a sling. He didn't need Saul's armor. He knew what he knew. And that's the same for you. You got to know what you know. And when you go into a networking event, own that. And then after you own that, then I want you to think about the room. Who are the people that could be in the room? What are the topics that they could be talking about? And you're going to listen out for your cue. And you'll know, because there are certain topics you can't help but to talk about. Like when they say it, it just comes right out of you. That's your gifting being triggered. Let it be triggered. Do not be afraid of it. Let it shine, because that's what gold is supposed to do. And then people are able to see the value that you bring in because you walked in owning your value. And now you're getting more targeted cards and more targeted questions. Man, you were really insightful. Can I give you my card? I would love to talk to you about. And that's how you know you've owned your area. For me, very early in my career, I just always felt like, okay, I'm just doing my job. Now, granted, that came from a long line of traumatic experiences that just kind of made me feel invalidated, right? There was a lot of times growing up where I felt like my competency was questioned. And so growing up, I had a performance-based mentality, always striving, always performing, have to tick mark the box, must be perfect. And the problem with that is that it leads to burnout, it leads to exhaustion, it leads to depletion, and it also leads to misuse of gifting. And so I would do things and I would just be like, yeah, I did it, but it's not enough. And so I might have a project and, you know, I might have did something that someone else would say was, oh my gosh, that was astonishing. And I was like, yeah, I was just doing my job. And what I found as time went on was that I was calling something common that was uncommon. But I thought it was common because I'm just so used to doing it. I thought it was common because I came from a place where my best was never good enough. And it wasn't until I had a couple of really powerful women that had taken me under their wing. And it was like, girl, we've been stuck on this for the past 5 years. You turned this around in 12 months. That's not common. And I wrestled with that for a little bit because it's like, okay, are you sure? That could have been like some luck. But I kept doing it. And sometimes it's so easier to believe the lie. It's so easier to believe that you're the rock. And it's so hard to believe that there's gold in it. But it did at least signal me, pay attention, Brenda. Because some of these rooms you're walking in, you're shifting the atmosphere. But if you keep thinking, I'm just in the room, then the enemy gets to take advantage of that because you're never taking full advantage of the power that you have to shift the atmosphere. And so time went on, and I was like, okay, well, hold on now. You saying I know how to shift some stuff? Let me see what this is like to sit in this Lamborghini called Brenda. And when I really started leaning in, I started leaning in. And there was not a project that you couldn't give me that I wasn't gonna kill. Because I was very clear. I knew what gifts I had and which one I'm gonna use for what. Because it's kind of like, fellas, like a toolkit. You don't use a hammer for everything, right? The hammer isn't the only one. You have your screwdriver and you have this and that. I'm not going to name all of the tools because that's not my area, but you get my point. But when I started knowing what to use, I became more prescriptive. And when you become more prescriptive, people view you as an expert. You become like a surgeon. And then you go from being a surgeon to a top surgeon. And so what I want for all of you today is to first know who you are. Know your gifting. Know what you bring to the table. Know your stories. Refine those stories. Because sometimes the way that you're talking about you, you're not giving yourself enough credit. So that's why I want you to do the data dump in Otter for the transcription. And then I want you to upload it into chat and just explore. And whatever question you have, feel free to ask chat. Chat is not going to judge you like I would. Because I judge. Okay? And then after that, when you get that call for that interview, or when you are about to walk into that room for that networking event, I want you to get really clear on the purpose of that room. And I want you to align your gifts with the purpose of the room. Do not shrink. Do not hide. Do not overextend. Show up. Thank you. You already got one? I already know not to walk down there because you're going to call me right back up.
You know I'm going to call you back up.
I know.
You know, I thank you for that illumination thing there. Oh, this thing's working now, isn't it? Guys, I want to share something with you, if you don't mind, before we go to break. And we're going to come back after you guys go to break. We're going to come back and we're going to have a Q&A session. What? Oh, John wants me to go over here where I can be on camera. So, thinking about what you said, it took me back to Verizon. So, I was called by the head of shared services. You guys remember GTE? Yeah. So GTE got married with Bell Atlantic and became Verizon. And they needed somebody to lead that charge. At that time, the telecom industry was going crazy. Now, you guys, some of you guys in here will remember that. Some of you guys haven't been around long enough to remember that. I'm not asking for a raise of hands. So guys, I was called to lead that charge to be the director of talent acquisition for this new company. We didn't even know where we were going to become. We didn't even know we were going to be called Verizon. So, in my interview, I took into consideration what they were doing. What their big pain was, Tom told me, was my boss. What the big pain was, Foster, the telecom industry is doing so good in the United States, there's not enough candidates in the market to satisfy our big needs. We're going to be like the fourth largest company in the United States when we merge with Bell Atlantic. And I looked at him and I said, oh, that's all? Well, looking at what the needs were, and Dr. Carter, that pain button was there, that he explained his pain. And I looked at him, I said, Tom, my experience has been with, some of you guys might remember U.S. Telecom. I had done quite a contract with U.S. Telecom and also XL Telecommunications. So I told Tom, I feel your pain, but I know where to get the folks at. And I told him they were in Canada, because Canada was doing the exact opposite of what we had in the United States at the time. He said, Foster, you just told me the secret. You just told me, why should I hire you? I said, because I have the network already set up, and I've already done it. As you guys paint, I know where to get these people. What we need to do is set a pipeline of talent coming out of Canada, because they're all getting laid off, and they're ahead of us anyway, technologically. We didn't want to admit that because we're Americans, right? But that was the truth. So that is what got me the job as talent acquisition director for North Central and South America for Verizon. So that's a little bit of my background, guys. And I was going through that when you were talking about illumination. So, guys, what I tell you guys that for is, as a recruiter, when you're going to interview at a certain company, examine that company very well. Do your due diligence. Then look at that job posting and see if you can determine, because a lot of times you can, what that pain point is. Then, if you have had experience doing that, you want to let that go, as you were talking about in that interview. So you're solving that problem. They're looking at somebody to hire to solve the problem anyway, aren't they? So guys, let's be that person when we can. Now, here's something I see a lot of you job seekers doing. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody in particular. Eloise, no, I'm kidding. Eloise is my friend. We spend a lot of time talking. So she doesn't do this. But guys, a lot of times we apply for jobs that we know we're not a fit for. We know we might be able to do that job, but that job is below where our level of expertise is. And we kind of feel like we're pushing a little bit. Those companies are not going to call us. It's about those companies' needs and not the fact that we're out of a job and our money's running out at our house. That sounds cold, but it's the truth. When you guys need to hire somebody, you need to hire somebody for the pain that you're having, right? Okay, that's all I have to say about that. So, let's take that in consideration when we're applying for these jobs, guys, because we apply for a lot of jobs, as my dad would say, amiss. My dad was a pastor, and he used to tell the church, do not pray amiss. Don't pray for stuff that you know God don't want you to have. So anyway, given that, here's what we're going to do. John is here. Yeah, we're going to talk to John. John's going to come up real quick and tell us something. There are some people in the audience that I want to bring to light, because when we're at break, you might guys want to go over and talk to those people. One of my friends, Laura O'Connell, right there, specializes, guys, in international. She's an international consultant, helping us get jobs here in the United States. If we're abroad, maybe you want to talk to her about some things that you need to do if you saw a job abroad and you want to go over there to do it. So there's Laura O'Connell. John's here. There was somebody else that walked in a while ago. Anyway, John, tell them people what you're going to tell them.
Got it. Thanks, Foster. Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is John Machinsky. I'm the Director of Admissions at ComputerMinds.com. Every month, Foster, John, and Pete, they ask me to come out to talk about some free certification training opportunities that are out there that might help you with your transition. So at Computer Minds, we focus on short-term training for the information technology, networking, cyber, cloud, project management, and the logistics and supply chain field, so all the vendor credentials, the certifications. And we offer these services free of charge because we have a partnership with the Texas Workforce Commission. If you're not familiar, there's a program called WIOA, something to write down, WIOA. And it is a federal scholarship program that's pushed down to the states to manage. And if you're unemployed, collecting unemployment, or on some type of benefit, that is a pre-qualifier for the scholarship program. Tarrant County, Dallas County, and the surrounding Metroplex counties all have workforce offices, and they all have funding to be able to focus on these types of short-term certifications. So if training is something that you're looking into, but maybe you haven't had the funding to earn those certifications, there's money out there to be able to help you accomplish those certs. I'm at this little white table here in the back, so when you guys go on your break, come see me over there. I can answer your questions about WIOA or my programs. If you don't get a chance to connect with me, go to my website, computerminds.com, request information. There is a drop down for Frisco Connect, so your information will get to me. But I've been doing this now 13 years. I've known Foster for like a decade, same with Pete. Some of you have seen me out here or with South Lake Focus. We refer a lot of people over to the workforce to get access to this funding. Dallas County and the North Central Board Office, they actually haven't had enough people go through their doors to spend their funding right now. So they're actually trying to spend faster right now. The process is slow, but they have money right now. So if it's something you're looking into, come find me and I can help answer your questions. Thanks.
Sir. Thank you, buddy. Guys, I apologize for my brain, but I just remembered something that I couldn't remember when I was trying to dig it up. So Mr. Guthrie, we talked about earlier, that landed a job. It was Pro Scout. There is a company, a cybersecurity company that is right here. I think they're in Plano. Pro Scout, and he is he's a director, or not a director. He is an architect of their cybersecurity. Now, here's what happened. It's something to think about because we share stories, and it might be something that's applicable for us. So he had a job in his hand, and he walked in with that job, and he told them, I've got a job, guys, but I really want to work for you guys, and what you told me really excites me. That's really what I want to do. So can we make this work? Because it involved a little bit more money, right? He wanted them to up the money a little bit. And so it worked. And he is a architect at Pro Scout right now. So that's why there's donuts. So there may not be any left over there.
Well,
I don't know.
somebody else brought donuts. Who else brought donuts? Is somebody, huh? Oh, Rick, thank you.
Where'd Rick go? Is he going back to work? Okay. Okay, guys. Yes, John.
Well, I just want to remind people, all of you people, I saw a lot of people taking pictures of the slides on the screen. A reminder that the presentation will be posted on friscoconnect.org in about 48 hours or so, and it'll be on YouTube on the Stonebriar Events channel. So if you miss something, you want to review it, go back at your own pace, make notes, look at the slides again. It will be up there so that you can take advantage of it. Okay.
Good. Thanks for reminding us of that. Okay, guys, it's time for us to go to break. Now, to go over what John went over a little bit when he first opened the meeting up, we want to go through that door, but around to the left are restrooms, and there's a bank of restrooms that are right through those doors over there as well. So take care of that. There are refreshments, more coffee over there, maybe a couple of donuts left because I saw John hovering over those donuts over there. So there may be a couple of donuts left. I don't know.
Just know that they lock when they close, so you'll have to come back in through the doors in the atrium. So that's it.
Okay, that's it. You guys go to break.
When are we going to come back?
We're going to come back in probably about 35 minutes or so. It'll give people time to talk amongst each other and go talk to people of influence. Guys, John and I, and Pete, probably even Pete more than John and I, guys, we are strong proponents of keeping the human element in job search. We've got all this AI and all these wonderful things. Guys, let me tell you something. If I know you, I'm more likely to hire you if I know you, if I know something about you, if I know somebody that can tell me something about you. So that's not rocket science. If you are a resume that shows up on a desktop, and it might tell me a lot of stuff, but if I don't know you, that's all I know. All you are is a piece of, I almost said a piece of paper. I'm showing my age, huh? So, Bobby, hey man. I was talking about you before the meeting even got started. So,
Yeah.
guys, let's keep that human element going. Keep networking. I'm looking at Alice as I'm saying that. Alice is a leader in IT. You'd be surprised what she does for a living, what's in her brain. But guys, if you know Alice, you can endorse Alice, right? How you gonna endorse somebody you don't know? Know what I'm saying? And we play a lot of games on LinkedIn that we probably ought not to be playing. I can tell you a story that I don't have the time to do right now, but contact me later, I'll tell you about it. It's not a good one. We want to be accurate about what we're doing. We don't want to fudge. We don't want to, what's that I hear? Fake it till we make it. I can't stand hearing that. Okay, I'll just leave that alone. But Dr. Carter is still with us. We got the other Dr. Carter with us too. So who got the PhD first? Was it? It was you? Do you guys know what I was talking about at the beginning of the meeting when I told you when Dr. Carter got through with you, you'd understand why I endorse her so strongly? I can endorse Dr. Carter because I know her. And I know Bobby too. I didn't know she got her PhD. I should have figured it. Did she kick you and make you become a PhD? She said, I didn't make him. Oh, he was copying off Brenda's paper. Jonathan, you heard it. Mama admitted it. That's right. Hey, Jenny, how are you? I know you are. That's why I always like to pick on you because I know your personality. And that is a gift for you. You guys see what I get to do when you are out networking? I get to see you. I'm a pastor's child. So I got a whole lot more eyes than these two. I should have told y'all that. But I like to connect you guys with the right people, good people that are going to matter. Okay, so Dr. Carter, would you come on back up here? Because if I hang out with Dr. Carter and Dr. Carter, you guys will think I'm a smart person. That's good. So I'm going to hand you this. I want you guys, if you have any questions that you developed during the time that she was talking, I want you guys to ask those questions. That is what we're here to do. We've got until about 11:30, and I got to turn you guys over to John, and he's going to beat you up. No, I'm kidding. We've got orientation coming. So I'm going to give this to you. Any questions? Anything you guys want to bring up? I know you got something going on. You're being shy. Sarah.
Me? Sarah Hawk.
There you go.
Okay. I've got a hopefully third interview with a company. The first two was, can you do the job? Do you know how to do the job?
Yep.
The last job is totally personality or culture.
Okay.
How would you recommend to best prepare for that position, knowing that maybe half the staff is from another country?
Okay.
France.
So when I think about like personality-based stuff, I'm usually thinking about like, tell me about a time. But when they say tell me about a time, they're really wanting to know how, right? So think about the tough personalities you've dealt with. Take your time. I think I'm okay by myself. You are smart. So think about like the scenarios in which you performed your job in, right? So whether it's some type of business issue, some type of disruption, interruption, fast pace, when you think about that, that's what you're looking at. Now, if you said everybody's international, they're probably wanting to know about your collaboration skills, your cultural competency. And so think about the stories that you can tell that show how you've done that in the midst of a very complex business issue, so to speak, right? So like, for example, yes, there was a project where I rolled out a global training, right? But when you look and you double click underneath that global training, I was working with over, I think it was like 6 of our global leads. And so they were from Latin America, AMESA, Europe, Asia, right? And so think about when you're telling a story like that, you're automatically pinging off, okay, I've worked international before, right? Now, another double click down is, okay, so what does that mean? What does that look like when we're working together? Well, that also means that maybe when I'm scheduling certain interviews, I schedule them in a way where people can show up, right? So I might wake up an hour earlier because I know that my Latin American market and maybe my Europe market, it's right on like a sweet spot. It's kind of like the end of the day for them, right? And then maybe I'm more flexible because that's the other thing they're going to be looking for. They're looking for flexibility. So maybe I schedule my meetings maybe an hour later because I know my Mesa market, right? It's just now, they're just now waking up. They're just now getting into the office. So flexibility is going to be really, really big. And you want to pull out the stories that show your collaboration, your flexibility, and your ability to communicate even when things get rough. Okay? And so hopefully that was helpful.
Hello, everyone. I'm Laura O'Connell. As Foster introduced me earlier, one tip I can offer for the culture is there's an app called Hofstede Insights, and I will spell that for you. It's HOF as in Frank, STEDE. And you can do a side-by-side comparison of U.S. culture versus the country of the company you're interviewing with. And it will give you some insights into their perceptions versus how we see things. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah.
Laura, will you spell that again?
Sure. HOFSTEDE. It's based on years of academic research by Dr. Hofstede.
I think you're going to have to ask me some questions. You know you've been dying to.
Okay,
I told you.
she knows me. So let me ask you guys a question to prompt this. Do I need this? Okay. Oh, okay, good. So, have anybody in this room ever been called by maybe an agency or a staffing supply company about the same job? Have you been called by more than one about that same job? Sarah? Okay. How do we know which one to go with? When we get 2 or 3, now, I'm an old Verizoner. I'm not old, I said old, didn't I? Nothing old about me. But you know what? Because of the way that we do things at Verizon now, not when I was there, you might get called about a job that is at Verizon by 2 or 3 different staffing agencies. So which one do you go with?
I go with the one that has the best relationship. So I want to know how many people have you already placed at Verizon already? Because if you've already placed people, then that means you have a relationship. right? And if you are just swinging for the trees, hoping that Verizon picks your candidates, well, then that's not going to help me at all, right? And so you have the right to ask questions, right? And so even when you're in this season, of course, you can feel vulnerable, but that does not mean you don't get to walk in your authority, right? You get to walk in authority, you get to ask questions, you get to be selective about who takes your information, you get to dig down deep. You're not desperate. You might feel desperate, but you're not desperate. You are not what you feel.
Okay. Did she get that over to you guys? Did you guys get that point that she made? Relationship. I'm going to throw in a shameless plug for my radio show. So you guys call me the job father, right? So every Friday at 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock is the job father. The first 30 minutes of the show, we bring a person like Dr. Carter aboard that is going to let us know something good for us job seekers to know as we're going looking for jobs and things. Or it might be a company. I have had Sarah Jacobs' company. Hey, Sarah. I've had her boss and her and all kind of people from her company that have been on there to tell us about what's going on. The second part of the show, we like to call Job Seeker Spotlight. So I get to meet you guys. And I see something that I like. I see something that I want to get to know you guys, build a relationship with you guys so that I'm able to endorse you. Because a lot of what I do is connect you guys to the right people, places, and things. And so the second part of the show will be a job seeker on there saying, hey, you companies, I'm looking for a job and this is what I do. Y'all need to hire me. It's that simple. And it works, doesn't it, Alice? Yeah, Alice has been on the show. Yes, sir, Ron.
Okay, you talk about the power of networking. So one of the things we tell people in the pit crew is this is a 2025 statistic. If you apply for a job, you don't know anybody in the company, you apply off the internet, your chances of getting an interview, 2 to 4%.
Ooh.
That's the realistic number. So networking is the key. I know you hear it all the time. We all get tired of it. But just take that statistic, 2 and 4%, and figure out, well, am I going to take $1,000 and just go throw it in a slot machine every day? Because that's the time you're spending on that. So just figured you need to know that number.
Thanks, Ron. Once again, guys, Ron is the leader of the pit crew practice interview team. A lot of you guys have gone through, and we suggest that you guys attend and you can watch other people being interviewed because you can learn a lot just by watching other people.
Pit crew cards are on the tables.
Yes, and pit crew cards are on the table. Good. Thanks, John. Yes, and you guys want to connect with Ron. If you get a chance to, of course you're going to get a chance to connect with Ron on LinkedIn. Okay, we have a question back to Hilbert's got a question. I just learned how to say his last name today.
Hilbert Telonzia, software development engineer in test, building test platform, intelligent with joy. I love break software before customer find it. This is my question. It's a story. You tell me how to behave. I had an interview 1 month ago. First round, second round, and third round. Then the recruiter come back to me and say, hey, you get approved. By the way, the rate we agree upon was too high. Now we can lower the rate. My answer was, go and talk with the client and come back to me. 3 days later, oh no, the position is not anymore. We can offer you the same equivalent position, but at hourly rate on W2 now. I say, okay, yes. The answer, and then they say, okay, by Friday on Monday, on the following Monday, you will start the onboarding process. Nothing happened on that Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday I call back. The call back on Friday said that, oh no, the position was given to somebody else. Yesterday, I have an email saying that you may have a call from the manager. Okay, because they are looking somebody who have your skill set. It's very hard to find. This morning, I got the call for the same recruiter. Hey, Hilbert, are you still available? I say yes. And this is what they need. But the rate is lower than what they say.
Okay.
My straight answer was, this is my lowest rate I can go. This is the least I can go. If you still need that rate, send me the meeting invite, I will go. Is that a good way? What will you do? What's your advice on that?
Thank you.
Let me think about this. Because I don't play about my money.
Hello. Two people, no.
I don't play about my money.
No.
And let me tell you why. And maybe this is just me, the New York in me,
doubt it.
but I would feel a little disrespected. And let me tell you why. Because you keep lowering and you keep trying to see how low I'm going to go, right? And I'm sure that there are back-end conversations where it's like, well, they've already been okay with this and we've lowered it, and we've already been okay with that. Okay, see if we can get it at a lower price, right? And so that also is very an indicator for me what type of employer you are, right? Because if that's how you behave, I can only imagine what happens when I get brought on, because you're already not valuing what I bring to the table. Because if what I bring to the table is so rare, pay for it, right? Like, I can't walk into Harry Winston and say, hey, that ring is beautiful. You think you can give it to me for about like $100? They can like, security, right? You have to see yourself like that, right? Now, I get it. You need your money. So if you feel like I need the money, then I need you to be very strategic from here on out. If you go on the job, get the experience, do not stop looking for a job. Get the money that you need to take care of, your bills and all of the things. And while the best time to look for a job is while you have one anyway, look for a job. Because if they're making you go that low, it's almost like trying to bully you into taking less than what you deserve. Use the job as a sandlot to work on any other skills that you're lacking in. And then continue to look for the job that you want. And when you get the job that you want, kiss them goodbye and say thank you for your service. That's what I would say.
That's a good thing to say. Yes. Guys, when you do your due diligence and find out what you should be getting paid and what your history of where you have been, that is your lifestyle that you're used to. And I'm coming, John. I want to say this. I, as a director of recruiting, have been asked to do that by hiring managers. You know what I told them? I'm going to lose my job today because my people are not going to do that. My recruiters are not going to do that. Plain and simple. If you can't afford them, you can't afford them. It's not the company for them. Guys, if they can't afford you and they're playing tricks and you feel funny, there's a reason why you feel funny, because we all have a Holy Spirit inside of us that tells us stuff, and that discernment, that word that Dr. Carter just used, she uses those big words, she's a doctor. But don't do it. Okay, I'm going to shut up about that. So, John, yes, sir.
Hello. My name is Chandra, and I'm an engineer. My last position was VP of engineering, but I might have a small insight into the question that was just asked. I had a friend who ran one of these staffing firms, and he gave me a tour one day. So when I walked into their office, they had TVs up on the wall. The TVs showed statistics about the recruiters that were working there. How many resumes did you submit? how many employers did you contact? So they called that the activity report. But one of the TVs had a very interesting statistic, and I asked him what it was. It was cumulative spread. That was what he said. So I asked him, what does that mean? Well, the companies that want to hire have a number in the mind, and then we lock it with them. We say, all right, $150 an hour, I'll get you this skill or that skill. And then there are employees, prospective employees who want that work, and they have a number in their mind, which has to be less than what the employer's number was. And the gap between that is the spread, and that spread is our revenue. So we coach our recruiters to expand that spread. Push the employer up on the number, push the employee low on the number. That's a core job of the recruiter. He's just doing his job. So, when I thought about that, the thing about today is there is a lot of price discovery. So you can go onto the internet, and there are a few sites, if you want, I'll point you to them. For your skill set, you can figure out in a market what the going price is. So consultants come and they disclose how much they make for what they do, how many years, what position, et cetera, et cetera. So there is price discovery. You know what the price is. The other insight is negotiation is not about psychology. It is not about personality. Negotiation in its very first principle is about alternatives. How many options does the recruiter have in filling that position versus how many options do you have in finding work that is at your price? So networking and having multiple offers is the biggest negotiation leverage. It's not the voice, it's not the psychology, it's not a chess game. It's not, there are lots of classes about all of that, how you dress, how you look, how you hold the table. All of those are fine, but the first thing, it's called BATNA, Best Available Technical Alternative. What alternatives do you have to say no? What alternatives do they have to say no? So that's kind of negotiation. So that's my insight. Thank you.
Thank you. Jenny.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jenny Holcomb, and I am just thrilled that you are all smart enough and brilliant enough to be here this morning, because all of us have the power within, as the doctor said, and I just want to encourage you to keep looking forward, keep looking up, and know that the networking that we're doing here is really worthy and worthy of you. My question for you, doctor, is of your 7-tier pyramid, which I thought was brilliant, of the inner authority method, what would be the third aspect that you would like to go into if you had more time?
That's a really good question. Thank you for that. I think the third one would be between curate and strategize. Because you want to curate and be very intentional about what you're sharing when you're sharing, right? Because I may have, like I've mentioned before, a bunch of different things in my toolkit, right? But in certain rooms, I don't need every tool. And then the way that I apply it and the intensity that I apply it may vary when I get into that room, right? And so you have to be when you're operating in your gifting, right? You know the degree in which to do it. So I always like to equivalate gifting to, I think it's Cyclops from X-Men, okay? So yeah. Yeah, I know.
Getting around my territory.
So without the glasses, he has a gift that can be very destructive, right? Opens up his eyes, everything is burning, right? He puts the glasses on, and now he's able to be laser precise, right? And that's how your gifting works. It's learning how to use and curate the use of your gift so that it hits very precisely, right? And now on the inside, you may be super excited, and so you're like, rainbows is everywhere, and you're like, I'm doing it, I'm flying. But on the outside, it's like, man, this person is good. Man, they're really laser sharp. Man, they knew how to say the right thing at the right time. And a part of curating is also knowing the power of silence. Because sometimes there's power in what you don't say. There's power in what you don't give, right? There's power in knowing when to yield the floor or being able to curate whether or not is this the best or most valuable use of my gifting and of my time. Do I want to speak on that right now, which only yields me this much, or do I want to hold and then really speak to this, which gives me more value? So that's what I would say.
That prompts me to share this idea with you guys. Now consider that I am a recruiter, guys. So when you are looking at a job posting, you get real excited about it. I automatically know you're excited because you know you're a good fit for that position. Now, what I will ask you to do is develop a value proposition. What you talking about, Foster? Is there something unique that you did in that experience that they're looking to hire that you can share with them? And it will develop into being a little bit more of this in a lot of cases. That was my case when I got the job I shared with you guys at Verizon. Now, think about that. Examine the companies that you're applying for, especially you're going to go interview with them. Examine the job description and study everything you can about that company. See if you can make a correlation there. Because then I guarantee you, from your experience that you're excited about, there will be a value proposition in there somewhere.
And to clarify that, they are willing to pay for the value, okay? Don't let anybody tell you different. Do not let anybody tell you different. And I can say this from experience. I have worked at Fortune 500 companies. I have been in leadership, so I've done this, right? And when you are on the phone with a recruiter and they know you are what we call a purple rabbit, something rare, they do not want to let you go. There's a difference between you just being talent and you being the purple rabbit. And when you have a purple rabbit in your backyard, you do not want to let it go, right? And so you ask within range, but there are also times where because you're so good and you might give the range because you've done your research and you're at the top of the range, they go back and they say, because they've had the interview with you, because of course the recruiter is going to talk to the hiring manager, they're going to schedule the interviews, and the hiring manager is going to love you, and this one's going to love you, and that one's going to love you if you are the purple rabbit. And then y'all are going to talk about your range. Your range may be at the top part, but then they're going to be like, you know what? No, it is worth it. Right? And so don't let anyone tell you different because you are going to give them a return on their investment. This is an investment. You have to see yourself as an investment. I cannot stress that enough. There you go.
Thank you. She's a whole lot more elaborate of speech than I am. John, do we have time for a Leslie question?
We got one more. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Leslie Ben Hamilton, producer in the advertising and film spaces. And I'm wondering if you're the purple rabbit, and it seems like nobody's looking for a purple rabbit, they're looking for a purple squirrel. Do you learn how to become a squirrel? Or, because you've got the purple already? Or do you double down on finding someone who still wants a rabbit? Thank you.
Be who you are, right? Be the best darn purple rabbit you can be. Be who you are. The reason why is because if you are a rabbit, you can put on the squirrel costume, but eventually you're still going to end up being a rabbit, right? Like a rabbit is a rabbit. What is it? A tiger doesn't change his stripes. Doesn't change his stripes. No. And the thing is that, you know, I understand that there's a lot of messaging that can make you feel like they don't want me anymore. And you have to learn to reject that because what you bring is still valuable, right? And you know, we get so much messaging, or when you're applying, it's like, oh, they don't want me. No, sometimes they just don't even see you because everything is super duper inundated. So now you have to get a little bit more innovative with getting them to at least see you. So then it's like, hey, there was this purple rabbit I saw, and she had a hat, and she was doing all types of cool things. I ain't seen the squirrels, they just run. Right, they ain't do nothing, right? Now, I'm not saying that you're not refining your skill set. I'm not saying that you're not working on different things. I'm saying don't transform for every single thing because you're going to burn out. Lean into more of the gifting that you have. If you are a hand, be a hand, do not be the foot. If you are a foot, be a foot, do not be the ear. It is okay. You need to go where you're needed. Okay? And I know it's not easy because sometimes, like I said, that messaging can make you think you're not wanted. That's not true. It's just we got to figure out the visibility aspect of it. Okay?
All right. John, we are at the mark, guys. The program is done for this month. We will be back first Tuesday of next month, whatever date that is. I don't know what date it is yet.
It's July 1st.
July 1st, my birthday month.
Oh.
And so,
How many centuries?
ooh, a few.